Hello everyone. So I thought I'll make a different vlog today. Um, Usually I shit on myself here, talk about virginity and whatnot, make a video about suicide. I look like this total loser. So I'm gonna go in the completely opposite direction and talk about my most highest point in my life, my heroic moment, the time I took the heroic dose of reality when, and that's not when I rattled out my VIN number during car repair, even though which I didn't, except for in my mind, or like when I solved the Rubik's Cube, which again I didn't, except by reading the algorithms, or when I clocked in 1.5 hour, 1 hour, or probably, yeah, 1 hour, 20 minutes, I guess, in SEAL Fit Boot Camp, Kokoro Camp, Kokoro 42, in case you want to fact check. So there was none of these moments when I reached the zenith of my life, and because usually it's like I'm in my nadir most of the time, whether it be like fucking shitting on my pants that happened in high school. What happened was basically I the lunch, the cafeteria, they had these milk cartons and it was one size only, like one flavor, only one type. Back then it was like I was 99 or something, and I was in high school and I didn't know I was lactose intolerant. Turned out I was intolerant after this seismic event of my life, this seminal event of my life. I basically what happened was I was in the class, French class. I still remember the name of the late the professor. Should I don't know if I should like drag her in this, Mrs. Powers. Well, I just did, and she was a math, not French class. My bad. We had a French in that class another time, but it was math, like pre-cal. Yeah, it was pre-cal, and I found that I already my like pants got wet, and I somehow made some excuse to go to the restroom. And usually, like coming from South Africa, Bangladesh, we have to ask permission to go to the restroom. Oh, so that actually reminds me of another time in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. When I was like fucking five or something, I peed in my pants. So it's not as if I am like this wasn't my first rodeo, so to speak. And mm, so yeah, I found I by the time I went to the restroom to like finally find out what's happening, like why am I getting wet? I mean, it wasn't like my, and I found out I already shat in my pants, and so I was, and the that wasn't the scary part. Scary part was going back to that seat and I can sit on it. And probably who knows, when I left the class, probably everyone was staring at the back of my pant, or probably no one did, and I was just that's like another horror or trauma that's traumatizing me for the rest of my life. So yeah, probably who knows, probably they saw, like everyone knows about it, I guess, and probably I'm the only one who's like who didn't know about it, and everyone probably like back then there was the internet, probably who knows, probably in a secret guild under like fucking cypress tree in a graveyard, like they probably gathered and like with their concoction in cauldron and probably made a fucking I had the feast, really like regaling regaling how another man in wheelchair got down and got kicked in the stomach by life and reality and God and whatnot. So that was probably one of the many embarrassing moments of my life. Now, on the worst image of the script, there is, believe it or not, a point where I felt absolutely like a total badass, where I felt good because I stood up for someone, not stood someone up, which I did again. Again, there was another embarrassing story, like where in high school we had to it was some shit like some sketch or something, medieval dance skit, and I had to hold someone like in arms, some girl, and I didn't want to do this, so I didn't show up in the for that day, and everyone later, and it was obvious the reason why I avoided it was, and basically stood her up, and I mean, yeah. So yeah, so I have my fair share, my litany of embarrassing stories, and so that time, if you want any context, I was aware of the Ramdas story, the Tokyo subway story of Aikido. Just Google that, you'll have a better. And Ramdas has a fantastic narration of it. So what happened was to, and it's a long story to set the tone for this, the backdrop. It happened like in about 24 hours earlier, actually, or probably that morning. Yeah, it was earlier because I stayed in a hotel actually. So yeah, I live with my mom in my basement in my Star Wars costume. Duh. I mean, and I don't even know I had this Grateful Dead T-shirt. Sorry, I didn't want to manspread and give you my crotch look. Yeah, so don't ask about the Grateful Dead T-shirt because I'm not a deadhead. Is it even Grateful Dead? I think so. Yeah, I think so. Because yeah, I just like the T-shirt, so that's why I bought it. So it happened like 24 hours earlier. I basically I I stole money from my mom's stash, and I know where she kept her stash, and I justified it by saying it was my money, it was our money, well, my share of the cut. So basically, I was stealing for myself. That's how I justified. So I stole the money from my mom, and I left, ran away, and and then immediately went to bank because I don't want to carry so much money. I dumped it. I thought I'll take off, bootstrap up, like fucking pull myself up by my own hair, the Munchausen trilemma and whatnot. I keep referring Munchausen trilemma as if that's the only. Anyways, so yeah, like it's from my swamp, like put myself, like pull myself up, bootstrap up, build myself up with thought, with pixel by pixel. Anyway, so yeah, I did that, and I stayed in a hotel, like a motel, well, hotel. The way I said it as it was Ritz Carlton. It's probably some motel somewhere, and like a holiday, not holiday. I don't even know where it was, a shadow park, but I don't want to give that one. That's irrelevant. So the next morning, I go to McDonald's, and I have to do this pilgrimage, this long trek to Panorama City from Anaheim. It's like a fucking 3 hour journey. You have to take the bus to LA. From LA, you have to take another, like a train on a subway or whatever. Like, and you connect and you change that, and one more time, and you go to like Panorama City near, I think, Van Nuys or like South Hollywood or wherever. I'm not familiar at all familiar with the area. So basically, it's a literal 3 hour journey, and so I was so I do that, have this great ride on the bus, like 420, not 420, like 460 or something. For that bus that goes from Anaheim to LA. So, and it goes through the city. So I did that, and now I'm the next stage. Take the I have to take the train. So I do that, and I think I was holding on and this also a defining factor in the story where I was holding. I needed to go to pee. I needed to pee, but I was holding it. So I was sitting at the back of this what do you call that, this chamber, I guess, or carriage. Yeah, carriage. And yeah, I was just minding my own business. I don't have a phone. I wasn't, and besides, phone doesn't work in. And actually, I did have a phone, but phone doesn't work in the subway. I had this black jacket on and my glasses. I looked like this basically, and and so suddenly I see this guy, this black guy, and I don't know why I said black guy. Anyways, this yeah, this black guy. There was another guy. There was another black guy. So there was this guy who was this cussing on this guy, this dominant guy with a dominant, aggressive gesture. He was like, "Fuck you, bitch," blah blah blah. And then I think he clocked him once. So, and again, it's LA. No one gives a shit. Subway. And I didn't even I didn't even look at it. But I was observing the whole incident, and I badly need to go and pee. And then now another back another context. I'm even though I stood up for that guy as I was about to, in a weird way, I was usually the guy who was always other people standing up for me. I mean, whether and that has been the recurring motif pattern in my coda in this whole this fucking box, or like box uh, this chamber music of my life, this whole Transylvania chamber music of my life, that has been defining factor where I'm the one who gets fucking punched and spat, not spat, yeah, actually that happened by a neo-Nazi guy, but that's another irrelevant story. So especially in high school. There was another black girl called Erica, and the reason I mentioned her race is because she was the only black girl, one of, like, I think so, like the only black girl. And this guy, he fucking slapped me, and and she said, "Hey, that's not cool. You should apologize to him." So yeah, here I was, this guy. This actually, I was completely new to the country. It was, and I just barely arrived, and everything was foreign, cultural shock and whatnot. This I was like fucking in a bubble, as if like navigating in a Disneyland, like whatever Disneyland has nowadays, and in a submarine or something with like fucking whales outside. That's how I felt, like in completely in a foreign simulated reality, except it's not a hostile. I've perceived that what I perceived as a hostile simulated reality. And I think there's some kernel of truth to the LOA thing, even though I don't completely believe it. In some way, the way the signals you send, the microaggressions, the paranoia, the insecurities, the doubt that everyone is against you, the like conspiratorial, the paranoia, like, and you kind of create that reality. You attract that by just by thinking in those negative terms. That somehow I'm this victim, and even though you don't admit it, subconsciously you have this inferior complexity and feeling. So anyway, so and there was another time another two guys slapped me, and they later apologized. One was in South Africa, one was in no, no, that was the only, no, the one in South Africa slapped me. Another guy was making fun of me, and he apologized. So I think there's some certain nobility in that. People twice people realized their mistake, and they owned up to it. I think that's manly enough, fair enough. And the point I'm trying to relate is I was at the receiving end. So here, that's why that shaped me, my thought, because since I was the one who's getting picked on and all the time, I developed this callous and whatnot. And I had my martial arts, this, even though I don't have any belt, but I have some experiences, like whether it be like 1 month of Krav Maga. And I'm very specific about it. 1 month of Krav Maga, 1 month of fencing with kids, little kids. Um, was 6 months of Muay Thai. You have to give me 6 months. Come on. I think I'm sure I probably eked out, like sort of, like clocked in the last minute, of my 6 months experience of Muay Thai, and I did some Kali. That wasn't the favorite martial arts of mine, but stick fighting, and then Aikido for I think about a year. And then when I was a kid, I did karate. That was like street karate. Yeah, where to break this already broken fragile clay tablets and whatnot, cute and fucking with cuneiforms. Why did they have to? That's how. Anyways, so yeah, I was usually the one who was getting like fucking picked and whatnot. So that shaped me, that defined me, molded my, sculpted my psyche, that I am thoroughly against bullies, and the ganging up, especially the whole ganging up notion where everyone like fucking and gangs up on you for your, and that's why I'm so pro flat earthers, because they're an easy target to make fun of. And I mean, it takes more balls to argue the contrary. And then just, and again, in any endeavor and in any facet of my life, I'm always for the underdogs. And so anyways, so he was getting clocked, and he got clocked twice or something, and he was getting hey, and the n-word and whatnot. Hey bitch, you look at me when I say. So I'm sure they have a backstory behind it. So he clocked him twice, and just when he was about to yank him, and like there were the metal rods you hold on to in a subway, um, and and he was about to like bang his head against those metal rods. That moment, I don't know what happened. I was in the middle of a 3 hour, this sort of boring this journey, where this and not boring, this taxing journey, and I needed to go to pee. But something clicked inside my mind, and I reacted the only way I can react, based on the martial arts stories I read. I fucking gave a fucking key eye. I just go, hey, all of a sudden. And then that somehow got, and all these people in the fucking subway, they're watching him, and no one better than I. And that wasn't, and that's the society we have become. Like, we can care less, and we don't intervene. It's not my business, it's not my problem. Let him shoot him in the middle of fucking subway, in front of everyone and all these eyewitnesses. No one's gonna, you know so, and so I did that. I said, hey. And so I don't know what happened. The guy just jerked, like he got stunned, and that was the intention. Even though I was peeing, I mean, I needed to pee, and he got stunned for a moment, and I knew, and I knew I had to make it loud, and probably it was a tad second, like tad bit late, probably, or probably it was the perfect timing because you don't want to do it too early where it doesn't have this right effect. So apparently, the martial artists they can do ki and like the masters, they could stun a bird in the tree, stun it and with the ki, and it drops dead, and does another ki, and it just rises again, like as if resurrected and whatnot. Another story is these are all from Pascal Folliot's Martial Arts Tales and Paradoxes or something like that. Another time a martial artist like broke this like bamboo with just, there's another long story, but I don't want to stretch this any longer. So basically he could break bamboo sticks with ki. It's just the whole opera singer effect, and aikido stresses it a lot. So there's a legitimate martial arts behind it. This called ki jutsu. So I did that. He goes down, and I did that once, and I surprised myself. I was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And if because for some reason if he came towards me and chose to pick a fight with me, he would have plastered me. He would like blasted me like because he'll knock my teeth out. I mean, because I need to go to pee, and I never got into any real fight ever, other than like getting my ass whooped, and and I did that, and I kind of felt this rush, like, oh wow! But it was almost like imagine you're Tom Hardy and Venom. There's this internal voice, this internal self that takes over, like command of the whole vehicle, the skin suit you're driving, and it's like almost my higher self to control of my myself, and then did that, and I was like, shit, what the fuck are you doing? And like, and I did this because I was nervous and scared, and like because I didn't even know what was reacting, but even though my body wasn't lying, I was scared and nervous, and I maintained this calm demeanor, assertive tone, and I said, "Hey, don't do this. It's not worth it. Come on, let it go." So I did that and did that. So what I surmise, he either thought, "Who the fuck is this? Is it this incel guy who with the glasses? This Indian guy, this Indian-looking guy at the back of the?" He either thought that, "Who the fuck is this guy?" Or he probably thought I was a security because of my black jacket with my hoodie. So he probably thought I was either that or not, or that. So I drew, and all of a sudden, everyone just focuses on that guy, and the center of attention in this whole theatrical presentation, this performance art, basically. And I swear to God, somehow I even before 6 months before or like 3 months before, I applied to Darren Brown. Had communicated with Darren Brown's agent, and I wanted to be in one of his like, participate in an experiment. I inquired about it. I was like, "What is Darren Brown setting me up? Is this some subconscious subliminal experiment? Or I'm on TV or not?" So I had the courage to, and it was just my conscience. No matter how much of a shitty day I'm having, I'm not gonna let a man like kill another man in front of me. That's something I'll not have. But you can like, I might have the shittiest day of my life. So it's almost like the switch went on of my conscience, and I was like, as a human being, I just couldn't let it, even though I don't know them, and so that happened. And like at the next stop, um, one of the guys got out. I think the dominant one got out, and I think it's pretty soon afterwards the other guy got out, and suddenly the whole my adrenaline and my heart, everything calmed down, and I was like, whoa, I can't believe I just did that. So I tried, since I already brought the attention to me by shouting, screaming, I tried to diffuse the whole thing, like, hey, it's not a big deal, like, don't think I'm some kind of hero or not. I mean, I was like, it's almost like I tasted this ambrosia from the Valhalla of the gods, like got a peek at this glance, the darshan, at this glimpse of God's face, and someone like Prometheus trying to steal fire, and I fell right back, right back to the ground, and they all humble and everything. I mean, to back to my real reality of inceldom, and I was like, whoa, like for a millisecond, I was the different man, like this superhuman, the Ubermensch, and I was back to the natural guy who's the passive aggressive whatnot. So I tried in my passive aggressive, like, to, hey, I don't even know why I did that. I said to the guy next to me. So yeah, and that was the end, and nothing happened. So I don't know if I've inadvertently have saved, I may have saved his life, and who knows, but I felt good about it, and it's something I'm really proud of. I stood up for someone, and it's my and I thought, like maybe it was almost like the whole life's event so far, or all those mini events that led up to that point. It's almost like as it conspired for me to be at that point, be the sort of quote unquote hero, and like speak up for someone else. It's almost the every there's not in Alan Watts story, they say, like, when they talk about satori, sudden enlightenment, sudden, like when the bomb comes, not a single grain of dust is out of place in this God's universe. That's my elaboration. It's almost like the universe, the cosmos, like nothing is out of place, not a single grain of dust. So it's almost like it's like God, either or nature, universe, whatever, cosmos, either can make you or break you, kind of put the spotlight on you, or you can just be another bystander, or like it's almost like characters, Million Masters God and all and whatnot. So I felt really good, and then I went about my day, and but I that stayed with me, that even though no one like came and congratulated me, I put fucking garlands on me and lace and whatnot, and say, and like, everyone clapped or anything. So that was, and there was another heroic moment of my life, but I don't know if I should. That's similar to it. So there are too many things to share actually, because now mine is like pacing, revving, storming like the steam engine of Sherlock Holmes. So what happened was, I went about my day, and as I took the bus to Paranoma City, suddenly there were these two there's cops in the bus, and that's odd. Like, cops usually, I don't know if it's normal for that city, but it was almost like God or the universe was saying, "I got you back, bro." Like, I know it's almost like God is sort of quote unquote rewarding me. It's almost like a test to see what would you do as a human being. And it's almost like God is saying, "Hey, I got you protection now." It's almost like a reward in a sense, like, even though it's unrelated, it's almost like God is like winking and saying, like, "Hey, I see everything," and so that, and I was like, that was strange, and I even told the story to them, not in that fashion, but I was like, hey, people nowadays don't even care. They're the one who's like clocking this guy's teeth out in a subway, and no one cared. That's what I said. And another thing is, in the subway the phone doesn't work, so it's not, you can like fucking pull the lever or like call cops or anything, so people take advantage of that. So that's another thing. So either the guy thought I was this weird Indian guy, like a psycho, or like some security guy, but he was like, who the fuck is this guy, this scrawny guy, this scrawny motherfucker, like with the wine glasses and looking like incel, trying to say, like, shout at me. So that exactly had the perfect amount of shock effect to stun him. Like, he was like, oh, he might, that little amount of doubt, like, he might, what if he has a knife or something, or a gun or weapon, or he might, is he the security guard or whatnot. So almost like God has a perfect plan, where if every role, that whatever the skin suit, or this what do you call this mm, meat suit we wear, this astronaut suit, it's almost in a whatever shape or form we have, everything has a purpose, like a perfect perfect purpose, like, because if I was probably this real meathead, the alpha guy, Navy SEAL, he probably would have picked another fight with me. He was like, hey, you challenging my alphaness, my manhood. And it almost, I felt at that moment when I said no, because I never planned it. It was completely spontaneous. It wasn't like I was trying to provoke it. And it was almost like God consciousness through my eyes just prepared this entire event, just to make me the good guy, so to speak, and to, like, to mitigate and diffuse the whole threat, I guess. And later on, I again tried this too, but that was just a mess. It was in with this army guy, kids in freaking, I don't know, I forget this San Clemente. Yeah, and again another guy got the two army kids started fighting. The one punched him in the face, and his blood started coming out. And then and again I did that, but this was more contrived and planned. Like, hey, and not planned in the sense, but I was like, hey, it worked before. Maybe I should do something. And I again started screaming like a psycho and like waving my arm. And you know what? People freaked out. Girls were like more scared. Like, not that some other guy got punched, but the fact that I got fucking. I started acting like a raving lunatic. So yeah, it didn't work out that time. I mean, it didn't work out that time. And so I think, to illustrate another beauty of Aikido, is that to fight without fighting. Again, Another time in a bus, this guy came, this drunk guy. I think that story, the latter story, the one I'm gonna share right now, is more poetic and beautiful than the first one. The first one was like more, like I had no control over it. Like it just happened. Like whoever, God, higher conscious, whoever, took control over me and like mitigated it. There was no, and if I may say so, there was no ego, complete lack of ego. Whereas in the San Clemente, in the military one, like I wanted to, like, some attention. I was like, hey, if you don't want to fight me, like, and that was my way of diffusing the whole fight. And it didn't work out, and it was a mess. Complete. I looked like utter loser. So yeah, that and usually I wrestled with the idea whether if I should share this story at all, because you hear about this Taoist hermit monk and my this master of Tai Chi, this samurai. I mean, Miyamoto Musashi wouldn't like go about bragging about it, like gloating about it. And but I'm not to his level. I haven't reached that level of, I don't know, like freaking Sandan or whatever you call it, the eighth degree belt, like whatever, ninth degree, 10th degree belt, that Chudan or I don't know, what do you call that? Sandan or whatever. Yeah, I'm probably like freaking, you're still about green belt or something in this whole. And because a real, I mean, honestly, someone who has nothing to prove wouldn't like go on YouTube and talk about it. But I think, but I since I this is something I feel good about my about it, because and it's happened. And if anyone in that at that time who witnessed this is watching this, I mean, if even if could even if it um saved someone's life, or like just made a slightest difference in anyone's life, I mean, that would just, I think it's worth it. And it's worth foregoing the fact that one shouldn't gloat about the silent professional and whatnot, not bring attention to their heroic moment and whatnot. And the second one, it was more poetic. It was, again, it was happened after a long time. In the bus, this guy came. He was obviously drunk. He was talking. The bus driver got threatened, and he was like, hey, get off my bus, get off my. And the guy kept saying, do you know route 64? And the bus driver, righteously so, got scared for his safety, because here we have a drunk guy. And and see, the thing with aikido is, even though that's not real my the famous favorite martial art, the aikido is, you don't judge anyone, because everyone's having a fucking shitty day, and you don't judge anyone, and you don't take sides. And that's why if, when you listen to the Ramdas story, well, it's not a really Ramdas story, but that's the only depiction narration that exists in the internet of the vocal one. So you try not to take anyone's side. It's not about good versus bad, the righteous stomping the person, the criminal. That it's not about that. It's like, it's all about harmony. Like, let us all get along, try to get along. It's about that concept. So even though I don't have any belt in like freaking, I think I have brown belt. I don't know, but there's another. I even, I picked a fight in the dojo, in the sense like, not a literal fight, like freaking. Okay, anyways. So yeah, so that's the essence, I think, because Aikido gets shitted on a lot, like it was being this pussy martial art and whatnot, dancing. But the real essence of it is, find there's always some creative way where everything can work out. So by going back to the story, I somehow remembered that it was happen to know where route 64 is. So I kind of distracted him and said, hey, I know where it is. It's gonna be at that side, that blah blah blah. So that happened, and that guy got happy. And was this old tall white guy in glasses. I don't know why I'm bringing race all the time. I don't know. I think anyway. So, and he came to me. He was trying to go to court, and he started talking to me, and you can smell his the drink, like, and everything. And he was like, you can tell he was drunk. So, and I mentioned he was drunk because it's similar to the subway story, Tokyo subway story. So, because I mean, who knows, if someone's having a shitty day, he's trying to go to court, and this bus driver, it's almost everyone from their own vantage point is right. The bus driver righteously has concern for his own safety. The guy obviously is trying to just go to that destination, and here the guy's not cooperating. And so I saw that. I mean, like, and like in a jiffy, like I got the whole thing. And I happened, again, I didn't have it like too much control in the, I mean, I didn't have control in the sense like I could affect it, with like freaking kickboxing or anything, but I have it almost like got tucked that memory in me that I knew the route number at the right moment at the right place. So I distracted him and said, "Hey, I know this," and then he came to me, and that was it. And he I hope he found his junction or the connecting bus. So and then we start talking, and I told him I have books on Kindle, and I gave him the my name, and he noted down, and we had this talk, and he was still angry at the bus driver. He was like, "Look at this asshole," and thank you. And after he got off, there were two other couple, and there was a lady, and he said that was pretty dope. That was pretty cool. That she said something along that line, and she said, "My hats off to you." So these are some of my, I guess not not that I concoct like I contrived them, but when things like that happen, and yeah, I don't want to talk about that, and there's no camera or like someone with cell phone recording it necessarily getting freaking 80 million viral views or whatnot. Just some of my more personal, like cherished, treasured moments where somehow I cracked through those whole incel dome, and somehow so got a glimpse of the real inner reality, the inner light that exists within me, of what a real hyper conscious or super conscious being, the way it acts. It's almost like I have a higher self which is sleeping inside me, and somehow in the right moment, when push comes to shove, it comes out.